And we are back with another episode of the Great Movie Pod. I am one of your hosts, Noah, and this
I'm
is
Caleb.
so great to be back. Unfortunately, with a bunch of craziness, we didn't get to do an episode last week, but it's Thanksgiving, so who knows how many people would have been listening anyways.
Right, right.
But we are back with another episode. We have not gone anywhere, so rest assured we are back for good. This week's topic, I'm pretty excited, was brought on by events we were just talking about, the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And movies involving snow, based on snow, having snow, um, and I'm pretty excited about that. We don't have like it's not a top five, it's not a best of. It's just kind of like these are some movies that we really enjoy that involve. Everyone's favorite winter focus, the snow.
The snow. And it's because like in both our locations we just had to deal with, I wouldn't say a blizzard, but here it was definitely a snowstorm, and by you I'm sure it was whatever it's categorized as, but it after it's all said and done, there's a heck of a lot of snow on the ground.
Massive amounts, massive amounts. For the
Mm-hmm.
occasion, I donned my white Christmas
Oh,
sweatshirt.
there you go.
So
There you
that
go.
is it's not necessarily. I think that's a movie to talk about on another pod. But
I was
I
thinking the same thing.
had to wear the sweatshirt because it's a snow vibe.
Yeah, I think when it's a little closer to Christmas, we'll be talking about some Christmas movies and all that. And obviously, that's like, one of the, it's like, it's one of the Mount Rushmore Christmas movies. So it's like, since this isn't really a Christmas pod, this is more just like, it feels like prior to Thanksgiving and then coming into now, it just turned completely into winter.
Yeah, yeah, and I know it feels faster than other years.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about the way the wind is moving this year.
And
Um,
and also if you like because both of us were out of state for from our respective locations, and I think sometimes when you go somewhere, especially in the fall and it's warmer, and then you come back and you're hit with like some giant weather event, it just like knocks you into the next season and you're like, whoa, I guess we're here. you know
Definitely. Well, as always, before we get started talking about some films, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Throw some likes our way if you like the content you're seeing, and throw some comments. Interact with the video. Let us know what videos or movies, I should say, we should talk about in future pods. Or shows. I think at some point we'll start talking about some TV shows, maybe here and there. But throw some likes. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places you're listening. Thanks for listening. Glad to have you back. Um, yeah. So this week we're talking snow movies. Uh, why don't you kick us off with one of the movies on your list, and we'll kind of go from there and see
okay, so
what we got.
obviously there's snow in a heck of a lot of films. Obviously there's just there's four seasons to choose from, so often snow is used. And so there's a few films that I know have snow, which I enjoy the films, etc. Like the Harry Potter movies all have some snow stuff. And maybe you want to talk
Yes.
about that, but in my list, I'm not really going to talk about it too much because like I figure those are their own thing, maybe.
Yes, movies with like snow scenes, because like the Lord of the Rings has one of the greatest snow.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like just because there's like a scene, so that's where it's like there's a few films I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great film to talk about, and then I was like, well, maybe not.
It's not a snow movie. It's more like a movie with snow.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the first film that I like to watch in the wintertime. This is one of those things for me. Like in the summer, I can kind of watch a movie about anything. It's my
Mm,
summer. I can watch a movie about anything. But
yeah.
when it's wintertime, obviously you can still watch about anything. But I do gravitate towards the movies that have snow in them for some reason.
Yeah.
Like it does feel weird to watch a movie that has snow in it while it's summertime outside. It does something doesn't feel right. But when it's like tonight, or it's like dark at like 4:10 here or 4:20, and like you want to go and yeah, it's so my first film is The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, it's basically Dennis Quaid plays a scientist who sees the data modeling happening and thinks humanity's going to have it needs to change its its habits because the weather's going to change in the next couple thousand years, whatever. And then he keeps looking at this data. It's like a smaller window and a smaller window until all of a sudden he's like, something terrible is about to happen very, very soon. And basically it's a movie where most of the film they're running around in the elements and in the snow and the ice and the freezing cold. And um I'm not saying it's a high theater.
No, but it's a Roland Emmerich film, and that's
Yeah.
it's his movies. I think we might have talked. I think so for our listeners, for some background to this podcast. My uncle and I started this podcast during the pandemic and then stopped doing it. We made like 2 episodes, and
Yeah.
we had a different title, and one of the first episodes was about pandemics and about like natural disaster kind of movies.
Oh, that's
And
right. I forgot
and we
about that one.
yeah, and we talked specifically about Roland Emmerich, about how like his movies are so chaotic that like there's no way this would ever happen, but yet there's like little pieces of like, okay, I've seen something like this kind of happen. There's like, I could see how this could happen. And then also like his movies are never awful, but they're never like Oscar winners. They're not going to
Oh,
win
right.
like
Yeah.
they're popcorn movies. Like they're just fun like world is ending movies. And so yeah, I had to throw some history back for the viewers, because we have, if you can find it somewhere, I'm not going to give away the title of the podcast, but they are still up there. There's 2 episodes. I think we did one about boxing or sports and one about disasters.
Yeah, we did 2 or 3. I don't remember if
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
yeah.
But if you find
Um,
them on there, maybe I'll come up with a special prize if you listen to those somewhere in the ether. I won't link them, I won't put them anywhere, but a special prize if you can tag the Spotify link to one of those videos in the
it's
comments.
funny. I had totally forgot about that. No, I mean, now that you're saying it, I remember it like very clearly. But like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, getting back to Emmerich, you're right. But somehow he gets money to make these movies,
yes,
and maybe
yeah,
because, and this is what I learned a little bit when I was doing some film back in the day was, um, in order to get a certain amount of money or to get certain people involved in your production, they actually have like literally. Well, now we call anytime we say algorithm, people are referring to social media stuff, but they actually use a mathematical algorithm to calculate how much money you can get and what actors you can get. And so and
okay,
so basically, I'll make this up a little bit, but it's sort of like if you have B actor plus an A-list actor plus a C-list actor, you generally expected to make this much money in the box office kind of thing. And it's true. There are movies. There's a movie I'll mention a little later that has this giant list of like, stars in it because they're assuming there's going to be enough fans of each individual person. And then they look at like how disaster films have like historically done in the box office and all that. So he gets money to make films, and he does know how to get really good special effects artists and so it's like he probably goes into the meeting. He's like, we got this person and this person and this person that are committed to this. It's going to be about New York City blowing up. And so the investors are like, okay, we can expect this much money. Go ahead and do your thing, Roland.
yeah, yeah. And I mean that cast. You mentioned Dennis Quaid, but you also have Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah,
and now she wasn't as famous when the movie came out, but now she's done some shows. But Emmy Rossum is in that movie.
yeah,
She's really good. She's in that show Shameless.
yeah.
And then Ian Holm, rest in peace, is
That's right. Yeah,
also
he and
in
Holman's
that
in it.
film.
And then
Um,
actually in one of my favorite character actors, I believe his name is Glenn Plummer.
yes.
Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but he plays the homeless guy with the dog.
Okay. There
I
you
hope I got
go.
his name right, but the thing is, he's one of those guys. I see him in all kinds of stuff, and he just melds into every film really, really well. Um, But
I think that's definitely got to be a pod. Character actors.
oh yeah, yeah, we're definitely doing that at some point. Maybe down the line a little bit when we're a little more established. But yeah,
Yeah.
so one of the things I like about that is it's and as most people around me know, I love disaster films, and but there is a line between a good bad disaster film and a bad disaster film. You know,
Yes.
and we'll do a whole pod on this kind of stuff. I 1,000%. But this was like, because when I say a good bad one, that means like there's a little bit of cheesiness that happens, but you kind of have to have a little bit of that to make it a disaster film, or it
Like,
or it feels
what's
like the
not to get off topic, but to give an example, what's that movie? Is it called Cocoon?
with Wilford Brimley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that,
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of those, like, it's got cheese, but it's good.
Oh, there was also they did a sequel to that. I think it was called Cocoon Returns. Like, yeah, it was like it's like having a sequel and naming it, Predator 2. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you didn't put a lot of thought into this one.
No thought was gone into that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. So that's
Okay.
my first one that I always gravitate towards because there's lots of you can watch a disaster film any time of year, but I feel like that's the wintertime disaster film that I don't know I'm sure there's a few other ones like because disaster films really really started in the 70s. There was one called like I think Fireball, and another one's like Asteroid, and like just like really simple. There's probably one called Snowball or something from the 70s that I don't haven't seen, but
Yeah, it's interesting that they didn't come up with they paid no one to come up with those titles. They
no,
were
not at
just
all.
like
No, they had no
this.
budget for a title. They just had money to blow things up.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first movie that I'm gonna bring up is from uh 2005, The Chronicles of Narnia, Lion the Witch and the
Oh,
Wardrobe.
yes, of course.
Uh, it
Mr.
is,
Tumnus,
yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Beaver, Miss it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I just took a picture when their snow was coming down yesterday, and someone in my comments on X was like, Narnia, all you need is a lamppost. And I was like, oh yeah, because I've been meaning to do that for years to put up a lamppost here. Like, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that the movie, I think, definitely my brother, but maybe me. It's one of the. I think it's the second movie I ever saw in theaters. I think it was my
Oh
brother
wow.
Joe's first movie ever in
Hmm.
theaters. So it's got a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
They are doing a remake, which would be interesting. But just to talk about this one, just like the book, the whole thing takes place in this wintry wonderland of Narnia.
Yeah.
And the whole film, obviously, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a fun kids movie, but it's great for all ages. It's a fantasy epic of sorts, and it's a fun watch. But the being one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters, when Lucy walks into the wardrobe and she walks all the way to the back and she
Hmm.
walks through the coats and she gets into the furs, and then there's this moment where she just like comes into this wintry wonderland. Like,
Hmm.
seeing that on screen in my seat, it was like, not only is she experiencing magic, but I am also like, whoa, because it's like this movie magic of like, obviously there's green screen involved and probably some special effects, but like there's this movie magic of she's experiencing something and you're experiencing it along with her. You're not just viewing her do something. And that's like my first like movie memory of snow. So I had to put it on the pod because I was like, this is just, this whole movie for the most part until the end is all covered in snow and all snow themed. Santa Claus is a minor character, which I
Yeah.
always love that Santa Claus is canon in the Narnia world, which is
Hmm.
just great. But my thought on that too is like, if Santa exists in Narnia, like, does Santa exist in the real world in which Narnia exists? Because
Mm.
is it the same Santa Claus? Does he time travel? Does he like not time travel? Does he like interdimensional travel? because Narnia exists, and if Santa exists in Narnia, is he the same Santa that I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But there's so many cool little things. And the cast is great. Tilda Swinton is such a delightful villain. She's so good at being the Wicked Witch. You got Jim Broadbent as the professor. Just
Yeah.
like
Yep.
James McAvoy as Mr.
Hmm.
Tumnus is just so great.
And you have
Um,
Liam Neeson who voices Aslan.
oh yes,
Hmm.
so good. Um, and just like all these little pieces, and a lot of like no, not to besmirch the actors because they all do great work, but a lot of lesser known people in this movie, but they all come together so well to put together this magical performance based on books that we all grew up on.
Well,
So.
I think that's sort of key with making if it makes sense, making a believable fantasy for
Mm.
legendary stories. So you have uh like people know Tilda, but not super well, and McAvoy they know, but he was changed enough to not, because if you just throw a Robert Downey Jr. or somebody in there as Mr. Tumnus, number one, it would be super funny, but two, it wouldn't make any sense at all because people would be like, why is Robert Downey Jr.
So here's the deal. That's the witch, and you're gonna come with me. I've got a place we can hide out. I'm gonna play my flute for a little bit. You might fall asleep, but
Right. So if you throw some major actor in there, it's like Liam Neeson was known, but he was just voicing a character, so it was a little bit different. So
yeah,
I think, and it goes to like the Lord of the Rings. We talked about how there is a big snow scene, but it's not. We're not talking about that today because Lord of the Rings is its own thing. But when they cast that, they largely had to go with people that weren't well known to a lot of people, like Sean Bean was known in his circles, and Rudy, what's his name? Sean Austin was known
Sean Austin. Yeah,
in his circles, of course, and Elijah Wood for his early work when he was really young. But like, if you want him to be believable, you can't just force it in. That's why sometimes, when I see like they're doing whatever in the film and they have some actor and they're a good actor, but
that's
they're
why
just,
I'm happy Nicolas Cage didn't end up being Aragorn.
was he really? Oh my God,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Initially, Nicolas Cage was. I don't think he was signed on, but he was rumored to be the front runner for Aragorn.
Yeah, how would Nick? You can try this. How would Nicolas Cage as Aragorn, like like when he was in Gondor or discovering the hobbits or
I don't know. I For some reason the line that comes to my head is at the very end in the Return of the King when he has his coronation and they all bow down to Aragorn and he goes,
Mhm.
"No, you bow to no one."
Funny thing about Nicolas Cage, a friend of mine ran into him in at a Hollywood premiere years ago, and he shook his hand and said hello, or whatever, and he said Nick, he has he said he had hands like a chimpanzee. They were gigantic and so covered in hair that it was uncomfortable to shake his hand because his fingers went into the hair. There was so much hair. So
Oh,
so anyway,
all
that's the
right.
only thing I know.
Very hairy man.
Very hairy too.
Okay.
To get back to Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe, that was one of my favorites. My mom used to read those to us on car trips or whatever, and they actually had a version out done by the BBC a long time ago where they wore these really ridiculous costumes and it was so
This stuff of
terrible.
their nightmare fuel. If you watch it now, the
Oh
beavers
my
in human
God.
costume is
And
terrifying.
even worse, like we had a copy of it on VHS taped from TV. So
Oh,
so
nice.
it was like so grainy. It was like watching a film, like a colorized film from like the 1930s. It was so bad. And by the way, they say they're remaking, but I don't know because they constantly are rumors about that, and then they get squashed. So I hope that I don't know if like those books aren't really long enough to do like I don't know what they're gonna do. The books aren't really long enough for them to do Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe or the Magician's Nephew or whatever as like a mini series or TV show because they're not
No,
long, and then you're gonna start
no.
putting a bunch of filler in there.
Yeah, supposedly they're doing movies and they're starting with The Magician's Nephew, and the only cast we have so far is Daniel Craig as Uncle Andrew, which I love.
Okay, interesting. It could be, and I don't know about this because number one, it was foolish for them to stop making those movies at
Oh
number
yeah.
three or whatever. It
Oh
was
yeah.
just a
Because they were
dumb
doing great.
decision.
They were really fun. They were really
Yeah,
good.
they
They
were.
they they deviated from the books a little enough that you were like, okay, this is I like this kind of like change maybe, but not enough that you were like, this is terrible. What are we doing?
Right,
And
right.
yeah, I like the adaptations. They're
Yeah,
good.
I think what the success of the Harry Potter franchise film was leads actors to think, oh, I can actually do something with this with the right director, the right cinematographer, and it's like just make and they're like generally family friendly movies. You can turn the battles into something if you wanted to, but they're generally fairly family friendly, and so I really do hope they put that out there because it's such an amazing series. And for can you imagine the next you're whatever age you are, because I can't remember how old anybody is. No, I know how old you are. But like, can you imagine someone like a my little nephew Emerson, who's 5, in a couple of years, him seeing that and having the same experience you had with going through the wardrobe and seeing, and then she's parting the coats and things, and then she's parting, and she doesn't realize she's parting the tree branch, like the pine boughs, and then she's in this other world. And just as an adult, of course, I want to see these remakes, but as a kid, that's what you can't feel that excitement again as an adult as a kid,
No.
but you just know they're going to have that experience and just be like it's like your youngest brother with the Lord of the Rings stuff. For him, that's
Yeah.
just like he's going to have the same experience that like say I had way back in the day seeing in a drive-in theater Star Wars and Return of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So it's like every kid deserves that.
And I'll bring this up again when we do a Christmas podcast, but that's I think that's why I like watching Christmas movies so much because I can re-feel with specific Christmas, not every Christmas movie, but with specific Christmas movies, I can re-feel whatever that childlike wonder that I first felt watching whatever it is.
Yeah,
Something about the music and the snow and the combination, it's just it's such a
yeah,
great feeling. So yeah, I had to throw the Chronicles of Narnia up there because you talk about snow, you think of the White Witch, you think of Narnia covered in snow. So brought
yeah.
that up. Uh, yeah, that's my first movie. What about you? What's another one you got?
Okay, so I'm not going to go to the one that's a little dark because it would
Okay,
feel like too much of a shift from
yeah,
Narnia.
whimsical wonder. Someone's dying.
Right. So I'll skip the one where there's a death or something. So so we'll go in the in between.
Okay.
No snow movie compilation is complete without Rocky 4.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I mean, it's basically, well, I'm not going to do a summary because if you haven't seen it, I mean, that's you're on you at this point. But like, he's basically in the winter for most of the movie training,
Yeah.
and um, one you have, and then you have like you have more songs by Journey, uh, and you have oh, and the music on top of all that. That was like when that came out, I think I was in high school, and that was like the workout music for like every young boy who was trying to like be in I would be in the garage and I'm like putting on my tape of Rocky 4, the soundtrack, and I'm like, you know, working out, doing my stuff, and it was culturally gigantic because that was like right at the I can't remember what year it was that came out, maybe 89. Maybe you can look that up. But it was right at the height of the Cold War. Um,
85.
what was it?
85.
It was 85, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so the Cold War didn't really end until what 92, 93. So it's kind of in the height, the peak of it, and just you got to see this gigantic Russian, and it was like the first. I don't know if it was the first, but it had to have been one of the first times that a big movie. Obviously, that wasn't supposed to be a real serious movie, but like it was a first big movie to really talk about steroids in sports.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I didn't. I was thinking about it a little bit when I was thinking about this podcast, and maybe there's some stuff before that because I thought it was more. It came out more a little later than that, but I don't remember them really talking about steroids, and so that was like raw. This guy just doing lifting the rocks and running through the snow and climbing that big snowy mountain, and then you had Drago getting all like juiced up and everything, um and then it was just like this great comeback, David versus Goliath. I mean obviously Rocky 4 is one of the best sports films of all time, but it's also this great winter thing.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean,
Which
even
is
even to this day, not to interrupt, but even to this day, I'll post on X something I'm doing outside in the winter. I'm moving logs or whatever. Especially when I was doing the building of the house where I was carrying these logs. And I swear to God, anytime I posted that, someone makes a reference to Rocky Four. And it's like granted, I don't feel like Rocky and I wasn't doing all those crazy like lifts in the barn and everything, but there's something was tapped into by people by that movie, and it's even to this day when it's on TV, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll watch the end of this.
and it's the perfect example of, and I think we talked about doing a pod where we go with the IMDb lists, like the rankings, and find movies we enjoy at each level of the number system.
Yep.
And this is the perfect example of you have to watch movies for you and for no one else, because Rocky 4 only has a 6.9 on IMDb, and on Rotten Tomatoes it's rotten with a 39% splat,
Well,
which
that's
is nuts.
that's why critics should not be allowed to vote. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it's just nuts. It's nuts because that's like 6.9, and it's one of the greatest sports films of all time. Like
Yeah.
you can find, yeah, it's just interesting. So we'll get into that in a later time. But yeah, I just had to point that out because it's
Hmm.
such a good movie, but the ratings on it are so low. So don't listen to that. Because this is actually a really good segue to my next film.
Yeah.
This is not Rocky 4, so it's not a pinnacle of things sports, but it is about sports. It is the ever amusing from 2002, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. Snow
Oh God.
Dogs.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No, this movie, I was Birdie, my grandmother, we call Birdie, and Birdie, it's one of her favorite movies, and she wanted to watch it last week, and no one else would be convinced to watch it but me. But this movie, the reason I love this movie, number one, it's just stupid. It's just stupid movie.
A little
And
bit.
sometimes you need a stupid movie to put on. Sometimes you need a movie that has no substance, that's just dumb funny. And this is one of those movies that tickles my funny bone like no other. It has a great cast, number one. Cuba Gooding Jr. is just really wild in this movie, and I just really enjoy it's this movie. Cuba Gooding Jr. does like his best Jim Carrey impression. I don't know how to describe that,
Hmm.
but it's like Cuba Gooding Jr. doing Jim Carrey. It's way over the top. It's way over exaggerated. He's acting with, I think at some points, CGI dog at some point, but like it's way over the top. James Colburn, in
Yep.
probably one of his last movies ever, just plays this stoic badass of a sled driver, and I just love that. He's just like he walks in an Alaskan bar and everyone stops talking because they think he's gonna kill somebody. Like I just he
You know, it's weird. As a weird coincidence, I knew someone that was in that film.
really.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I wouldn't say it was like a friend, like a close friend of mine, but I've met him a few times. He was a close friend of one of my very good friends, up in Minnesota, and he went out to Hollywood to try and make it, and he was in a handful of films, and Snow Dogs was one of the films he was in, and he never quite got to where he wanted to be.
Probably because he was in Snow Dogs.
Well, yeah. Well, no, he had a bit part in either Grumpy Old Men or Grumpier Old
Oh,
Men.
okay.
So he was
Yeah.
like, everyone thought he was doing the thing, and if I were, yeah, and then it was weird from this little Minnesota town. Their other friend, that was Josh Hartnett,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Josh
who
Hartnett.
used to
Yeah.
date Scarlett Johansson. So like I got to hear about like the stories when one of the guys was coming back to Minnesota and hear about the stories of them dating and the Hollywood scene. I got to hear like the ins and outs of what's his name meeting Cuba Gooding Jr. and all that kind of stuff. Um
Okay.
and
Okay.
he was on some film. I can't remember what. This is little, but like my buddy got to visit him on set and then got to hang out with Tommy Lee Jones for like lunch.
Oh,
So he
that's
like, and
awesome.
he was telling me, he's like, yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is like exactly what you think he's going to be like. He's like, he was sitting on the steps of his trailer, having a sandwich, drinking a beer, and chewing the fat with my buddy Corey, who was that was the link to all of us. And yeah, so it's like it's funny the people you run into, and but yeah, Snow Dogs, yeah, that's a really fun movie, and it holds a test of time. What I'm curious about is what happened to Cuba Gooding Jr.
I don't
Right?
know. He a couple of years ago he did do the O.J. Simpson show, which got
Right.
really
But
critical
he had this,
acclaim, but he had this run of movies with,
yeah,
what, Jerry Maguire
Jerry Maguire, yeah.
and
The one with De Niro where he's the army officer.
oh, what is that called?
And then he was in a movie called Radio.
Radio? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he had all these hits, and then all of a sudden he like
Rat Race?
disappeared. Hmm?
Rat Race?
Rat Race, yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder, could it be? It's usually one of these things. It's usually like there's a weird little scandal,
Yeah.
big or small, it doesn't really matter. Like if you leave a bad taste with some producer, they're like they're just not going to touch you. Two, maybe he made a couple of duds, and they're like, okay, this guy's a prima donna. We can't stand working with this guy, and so they gave an excuse to not work with him. I don't know what happened.
I would love if he came back though. I have always enjoyed him in movies.
I did see a preview for something in the last couple of weeks that he had a role a supporting role in, and I was kind of like,
okay.
okay, maybe he's on a comeback or doing something. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. But before I move off Snow Dogs, because there's not a lot to talk about, but I'm going to finish out this cast, though. You have,
Yeah,
I said James Coburn, one of my
yeah.
favorites of all time. You've got Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek fame.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then one of my favorite character actors, Emmett Walsh.
Oh, he plays an amazing bad person,
He
right?
does.
You just love to hate that guy.
He's so good, just a grumpy old codger.
Unless I'm thinking of
Um,
a different guy named Walsh.
No,
But it doesn't
this guy,
matter.
you see this guy's face and you're like, yeah, that's that grumpy guy. And
Okay.
then two more to round it out. You got Graham Greene.
Oh yeah, and
Classic.
we should
Um,
he'd be an interesting guy to do just a pod on because he's done
yeah,
so many different, like he was in Die Hard 3. I mean, he's just been all over the place
so
with
many
his
different
art.
movies
Yeah.
and really a big piece of cinema. And then finally, Brian Murray, brother to Bill Murray,
Oh, I forgot
who's
about
been
him.
in a bunch of stuff, and he's got this voice that's kind of like in this every movie. It's just I don't really do a Brian Doyle, but that's exact. If you know Brian Doyle, that's what Brian
Yeah,
Doyle
yeah, that's what he sounds like. Yeah, yep, yep.
just yeah. So yeah, that's Snow Dogs is my next movie because it's just this. It's a kids movie, but it's fun. It's stupid. Oh, and then I would be remiss if I did not mention that Michael Bolton is in this movie too.
What? He was?
Michael Bolton, there's this whole scene where Cuba Gooding Jr. is in a dream sequence on a beach and he's laying there next to his dogs, and Michael Bolton comes in eating blue cheese.
What?
It's nuts. It's
That's
nuts. Michael
okay.
Bolton plays himself, and it's like the only movie where Michael Bolton gets his flowers.
Hey, a little shout out to Michael Bolton on the pod, huh?
Yeah. Shout out Michael Bolton. I don't know
Yeah,
where you're
I
at,
think
but hope you're living well.
Unnecessarily maligned.
Yes.
He had that Georgia song, which I don't care what anyone says, when he came out and he was singing his songs, everybody loved how he sang those songs. So I don't know what happened to him, but
I think Michael Bolton is the Kenny G of singers.
Ooh.
Where
Oh, that's
like if
interesting.
you listen to him, you're like, that is sheer talent. I could never do that. That is really impressive. But you please stop playing your music.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe it's their hair.
It's the hair. It's the long. It might
Like,
be the long hair.
like no, but also it says that like, a little bit of curl that where
Yeah,
everyone looks at
curl.
him and thinks that's not quite right. That's not a real thing for a man to do,
They
is to have curly long hair
put
like
too
that.
much mousse in there.
Yeah, it's like Weird Al Yankovic, Michael Bolton, Kenny G. There's a commonality here where people they like it, but they're like, there's something off,
Yeah,
you know?
there's a Mount Rushmore of weird dudes with long hair. Maybe that's another pod. I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Snow Dogs. Well, Michael Bolton. Shout out Michael Bolton. I think we're
Yeah.
probably the only podcast alive right now just giving Michael Bolton shout outs. So
Oh, and
there we go.
speaking of alive,
Yeah.
that's my movie next. So
Oh.
it's taken a turn here on the Great Movie Podcast, but for those that don't know, Alive is it was one of Ethan Hawke's first films, and meaning it was in his like early days, his first 4 or 5 years, or whatever, when he was making film. Um, but although he did a couple of movies as a real small kid that people forget about, but it's based on the true story of a South American soccer team who is flying over the Andes Mountains in either Chile or Argentina or on the border somewhere, and their
Okay.
plane crashes, and they have to make the decision: do we survive by resorting to cannibalism?
Whoa.
Yeah.
I've never seen this one. This sounds
Okay.
wild.
So as you can imagine, audience, this is a little dark. Yeah, but it's really there's a lot of I don't know where these people went to in their careers or whatever, but it was just a standalone film, and Ethan Hawke was playing one of the survivors, and it's like most of the movie, like 90% of the movie is basically them having to survive, and then the inevitable question of what are we willing to do to survive off of people that have already died. So the people have died, they're frozen in the snow, they're not like going after each other. It's just like there's a a body, an animal, a however you want to describe it over here, and everyone is not talking about the obvious like question. And it's a sort of interesting like play of your ethics, your morality, your like would you be willing to like starve? Like it's like
Mm.
and they do they talk about like okay, what if everyone goes for it, then no one can feel guilty, or there's a collective guilt that could happen. Like it's like they talk about all these different like scenarios, and the whole thing is set in the Andes Mountains, in the snow, in blizzard conditions, and the fact that it's like based on a true story, not like something happened and we're extrapolating. Like the survivors said what happened, and they wrote books about it, and it's um so you have not seen this, you said, right?
I have not. No.
So okay, what would you do if you are stuck and you crash in the Andes?
I don't know what I do. My thing is that if I don't think I'm going to survive if I eat something, why would I eat something?
Well,
Like
right, that's
if
the
I
thing.
yeah, I think I just let myself go
I
because
Yeah,
if I think there's a chance of survival after doing something horrendous, I think you could persuade me to think about it. But like I can't morally do that if I don't even think there's a way I get past that if I do that.
right. Like I would like to think that I have the moral uh something to keep me from doing anything that would like be a dark cloud over me the rest of my life, like that darkness. Um, but the problem is that, in spoiler alert, they do get rescued and it works. So I have that in my head already. If I had never seen
Yeah.
that movie, I would not have known that that was a thing that could happen. You could survive. And now that I know that it's possible, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an even bigger dilemma for me, because they rescued, and some of them did not live, but they rescued a
Yeah.
bunch of them. And it's like I said, I'd like to believe I would never do that.
All right, so in the comments, if you've made it this far through this podcast, in the comments, let us know if you, given that choice, what you would do. I'm very curious.
Okay, a secondary question. What if you were to crash in the Andes and same whole scenario, but then you stumbled upon a bottle of like barbecue sauce, and so it could change the whole dynamic in terms of just like, no, I'm just joking. I don't know. Okay, so I
I think
promise
if
you,
I think I'd be more concerned finding a bottle of barbecue sauce than I would be eating
well, that's true,
eating
especially in
another
South America where they
human.
don't use barbecue sauce, so it doesn't really matter.
Like,
Yeah.
how did this barbecue sauce get here?
Um, okay, so I promise everyone that there's no more dark movies that I'm bringing up. That just struck me as like we're talking about snow, and that's like the most snowy, blizzardy movie aside from a movie that we're not going to talk about this time, but we do want to give a little shout out in the middle here. Um, we are going to talk about The Thing, but we're going to talk about it at a later
Yeah.
date. I know it's in the snow in Antarctica and all that. It's an amazing movie, just not on this podcast. And you
Yeah.
had one that you're not going to talk about this time either, right?
Yeah, the movie Snowpiercer.
Yes.
I want to give that a shout out because you have to mention that when you're talking about snow. But my uncle hasn't seen it, and I want him to watch it, and we can't really have a good discussion about that kind of a film without someone watching the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I will give my last like dark movie, or well, my first, I guess, and last because I went more goofy.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. Yeah,
this
I just had to mention it because it's just so out of yeah.
this one is dark in subject matter because it is based. It's not. I don't believe the movie is based on a specific story, but it is based on an actual fact. But this movie is called Wind River from 2017. It's directed and written by Taylor Sheridan. Um, and it stars Jeremy Renner and Graham Greene. We were just talking about
Yep,
Graham
yep.
Greene.
The great.
And a bunch of other amazing character actors. John Bernthal's also in there. But it is about the awful predicament that a lot of native people are in, that it's a sad reality that a lot of people go missing on reservations in this country. It there's I'm sure some to trafficking, some to drug overdoses where they're just in the middle of nowhere and no one finds them. But there are a lot of kidnappings and a lot of just horrible things that go on some of the reservations in both the States and in Canada. And so this movie kind of highlights an FBI agent going to investigate a murder on a Indian reservation in America, and it is per most of Taylor Sheridan's work, it is incredible. And I say incredible in the sense of from a filmmaking aspect, nothing about the theme of the movie is incredible. But the acting performance from Jeremy Renner is breathtaking. You feel the cold of both the subject matter and the snow in your just soul. Elizabeth Olsen is also in this movie. She's brilliant. Graham Greene, we just talked about him. He's incredible. Talking about one of the best actors for the Native American community, Graham Greene just speaks so. When he's on screen, he gives such. He's just it's not a caricature of what it means to be Native American. It is. He is. He lives the people. He embodies the people and the spirit of being Native American. And another guy who I think is, he is one. He is his own self, but he is kind of the next Graham Greene in that line of of people, but Gil Birmingham is also in this movie. A lot of people know him from Yellowstone, from several other amazing projects. But Gil is like several decades younger than Graham. But he is that same embodying the spirit of what it means to be a Native American, and really taking back the culture of where we just put a white guy in red paint and said, "Oh, that's an Indian." It's like it's so much more, and the movie really highlights kind of the sad state that a lot of reservations have been put into because of a lot of different factors. But it's a really powerful movie. Most of Taylor Sheridan's stuff is very powerful, but
Yeah.
this is especially because it's based on true events. Is a movie I had to put out there because a lot of it takes place in the cold, frozen winter.
Yeah, and I think with Taylor Sheridan, he when it comes to the Native American roles that he has, some are like this is like the 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 main story, and some of them are character actors or whatever. Like in Yellowstone, there's several like in Yellowstone there's several threads of different plot lines going on, and one of them is the modern day uh, native peoples in that particular part of the country, and but even if you look at how he has his finger on them, and I don't know, like you could say, oh, he just does good research or whatever, but it could be that he just had lived out in a certain area where he just was around different peoples day to day, and it was when I used to live in South Dakota, and a friend of mine was I, she wasn't a um oh, what were the people that go from home to home checking on kids?
Oh,
Uh,
DCF,
I don't know, whatever that.
Child
So
Services.
yeah, child service. She wasn't that, but it was something adjacent to that. So I got to be around the people that, and a lot of that was going to the reservations and dealing with the troubles that were there, and they have different rules, they have different hospitals, they have different laws, and they have different
They have a
police.
whole police station, police
Yeah,
force. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a sad state of affairs, like you said, that has just been,
Uh,
there's personal choices, there's governmental choices, there's it's so complicated, but it does go back a long, long, long way,
yeah.
and um, yeah, it's interesting to uh, a lot of the films you could do with that. They tend to be a little darker, a little sadder, but then there's other ones that sort of like highlight the native people contributions, like in the Wind Talker movie, or there's lots of different, and
Yeah.
that could be an interesting pod too about um just talking about like how they were portrayed over the years. We might have to break that into one or two pods because it's such a long,
Dense
convoluted, and
topic. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's that's also one of those where it's almost like for some of the movies that had been made way back in the day, we'd have to do a little research to see what was true about this, what was mischaracterized, what wasn't true about it. But I don't know. Now I'm getting a little bit off topic, of course, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
want to happen. So.
Yeah. But that's one I had to put on there because it's just really
And
really well
say
done.
the title again for
Uh,
the
it-
people.
yeah. The title of the movie is Wind River.
Wind River. There you go.
Wind
Yeah.
River.
I
Highly recommend.
and I think for the audience, we're going to try and add some either links or maybe jot down at the bottom if we've mentioned something that you might want to go see. This was a comment that someone had for me that like me or you or someone had mentioned a movie, but then it went by so fast that like we didn't quite. They were like, "Oh, I wish I'd written that down" or whatever. So now I took that, I listened to that, and so hopefully we'll remember to do that each time. So not every time,
Yeah.
maybe we can't promise, but we'll
We can
try.
do that. It's super easy to do because all we have to do is have you text me your list after the pod, and I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just copy that and put that in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so my next wintry film, um, I think you've seen this, but I don't know, so I'm just
Okay.
guessing. Uh, Cliffhanger.
I have not seen this movie.
Okay, so those who haven't seen it, this is a one of Sylvester Stallone's like movies in his heyday. Granted, he's doing Tulsa King and he's hitting home run after home run with that show. So I
Some
don't
may
think
say he's still in his heyday.
I think maybe that's the case. He had like a couple of years where he wasn't quite sure what he was going to do, and then he found Tulsa King, and it's like a rebirth. And I have suggested maybe we do a season 3 Tulsa King pod coming up because I got
I like that.
one more episode left, and I'm good.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
finished him, so I'm
yeah,
like,
so
yes.
Cliffhanger is the story of this group of thieves who rob a plane in midair and then escape, but the escape goes wrong, and 3 suitcases full of bearer bonds or bills or whatever, they fall out of the plane, and these thieves decide to go get it because there's a tracking number on each of the suitcases, and so they go to retrieve it. And the thievery team is led by none other than the great John Lithgow, who plays an
Oh,
incredible bad guy. He is so evil, and it's so against his uh, what everyone thinks of
archetype.
him. His yeah. It's so anyway, he plays the leader of this gang of thieves, and Stallone plays a former um like rock climbing guide, and so they're able to basically they I'm not spoiling the movie, so for those you'll see it at some point because it's really fun. And but they force him to go and find these suitcases full of cash that are somewhere on in this mountain range, and it's the whole thing is snow. There's avalanches. There's
I have
every
to
fight
watch
scene,
this.
every shootout. There's like Stallone is like he's like climbing these cliffs in the snow, and like it's just such a great just an action film. It is not
Love it.
it's not. And then the gal that's in it, I can't remember her last name, but her name is Janine something, and she starred in the TV show Northern Exposure for 5 or 6 seasons.
Okay.
And yeah, so she's delightful and gorgeous and talented and all the things. And I had a huge crush on her in the '90s. So, uh, but yeah, it's like I said, the whole thing is in the snow, not and it's outside. So it's outside in the snow for 2 hours of action movie. It's so great.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
My next film, and I think my last film. I don't think I have one more, but
I have one more
uh
after this. Yep.
perfect, perfect. Well, my next film is from 2022. It's a Netflix original. It's called Against the Ice, and it is about the two explorers from Denmark that go on an expedition to discover Greenland.
Oh, okay.
And it stars Nikolai Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones fame,
Hmm.
um, and Charles Dance, also from Game of Thrones fame, and a bunch of other, I'll say Nordic for lack of their countries, actors whose names I would absolutely butcher if I pronounced, and I will try one just to point out. This guy's name, I think, is Gormundu Karl Sigurdurs. That's the best. That's the best I could do with that.
Well, shout out
So
to Gadorn Strum or whatever his name was.
yeah, there's a lot of these. This guy is like Porstein Bachmann. I don't know, but
You
yeah,
know what's going to happen is like one of us is going to run into this guy somewhere in
I
Scandinavia,
know,
and he's going to pick a fight with us. So we got to be on our game.
I
He's like,
know,
you're not
because
pronounced correct.
they're all built like trucks. They're
Yeah,
all built like trucks.
right.
But yeah, this movie, it's a quick 1 hour and 42 minute movie. There's a really cool fight scene with a bear. It's just about explorers and with with all that's been going on in the news about buying Greenland or trying to buy Greenland,
Let's
multiple
do it. Let's
countries
take
needing
Greenland. Let's take
Greenland,
him.
this is actually what that would look like, but way back in 1909.
Okay.
Um, It's a very good exploration film. The music was pretty good. It's nothing crazy. Like I said, the runtime's only an hour and 42 minutes, but the whole thing is on ice, hence the title Against the Ice. So ice, snow. It was a movie I had to throw in there because I really enjoyed watching that. And I think it's one of the better Netflix originals.
Well, that reminds me. This is what always happens when we talk movies. Like it reminds me of a movie or a that I saw, and like
Yep.
there's a. I don't know if it was going to be a second season happening, but there was some movie about, or there were episodes, or I don't know if it was a mini series, but it took place in Antarctica, and it was like partly like supernatural horror.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can't remember the name though. So I mean, it's good that I didn't want to put it on the list because I can't. But the acting was like fantastic, and they were like their ship gets stuck in the ice, and they have to get it out while there might be a spirit on board.
Oh, uh, yeah. What was that?
I don't know.
But I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
I have to slip that into some pod at some. I'll have to go look it up, and of course, so then I can tell people what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Um, but it was who was the guy that starred that? I wish I could remember his name. Well, I won't go too much on a tangent about a movie I don't know the name of. So so instead I'll bring up my last movie, which is for snow, for ice, Die Hard 2.
Hey!
Yeah, right.
There you go.
So for those that don't know, I like doing these recaps, I guess. So, Bruce Willis, he plays John McClane, and he gets stranded in an airport. I think it's Dulles Airport, actually. And there's, people hijacking things and doing stuff, and the whole movie takes place in the winter, at I think it's actually at Christmas time also.
I think so, because they're
But
trying to
that's
profit
less
off
of
of the
a
first movie.
that's less of a theme than in the original Die Hard, which we will talk about this month, I'm sure, as Christmas is approaching. But Die
We'll get
Hard
to it.
2, and it's also starring William Atherton, who people might remember from the Shawshank Redemption and a whole bunch of other films. But great character actor. He plays one of the villains. Um, but no, it's just a classic fun movie where,
There's actually a group of people online, and I don't know how big it is worldwide, but there is actually a group of people that argue that Die Hard 2 is better than Die Hard 1.
all of those people are dumb.
I
Oh,
highly agree, but
yeah.
yeah, that I
Well,
will say that there it's at least good enough to spark that debate.
Well, I would say if I was in that argument, well, granted, if there's that many people, I probably wouldn't call them dumb because then I'd be, that's a lot of people that come after me.
Right,
But
right.
I'd hold my own against a couple. But like if the whole group, that's tough. No, but I would definitely say that
Especially if they're the Nordic guys whose names I
in
mispronounce.
which case I will totally backtrack and agree with all of them. But no, Die Hard 2 is very underrated as a film because around Christmas
Yeah,
time they show Die Hard and Die Hard 3 sometimes on just not Christmas, but because Samuel L. Jackson is amazing and it's much more fun than the others are in terms
yeah.
of lightheartedness and all that kind of stuff. But Die Hard 2 is very underrated with sneaking around. And one thing I like in my as a writer, one of the things I often think about is what is behind the next door, or what is behind the next grate that you pull up, or if I'm ever in a subway, I see a door and I'm like, where does that go? Or I look down the subway and I see like a place you can walk and I'm like, where does that go? And so in Die Hard 2, where he's creeping around and he gets into like the areas of the airport none of us are able to go to, but we know kind of exists, and then we're like, and then there's like some guy somewhere in the in some basement somewhere. He's like he just basically lives down there. There's like I love movies where they get behind the general scenes, and that's in my writing. You'll notice if there's one of the many themes that sometimes run through my books or whatever, my short stories are, finding creatures and people in places you don't expect. You
Yeah,
know,
for
yeah.
sure. For sure. Well, that was quite the fun little pod with crazy movies that have no theme, rhyme, or reason other than snow.
Snow.
And snow being the binder of all of those, which we talked briefly about podcasts. We've talked off air briefly about podcasts that we want to do when we have a larger audience, and I think it's interesting that like movies, there are so many movies and so many themes that like we will never run out of ideas or movies to like it's not like you got what's your favorite sport? All right, you got baseball, football, basketball, like you'll eventually run out of sports. But
Right.
there are so many movies that like you will not run out of movies. And I think it's really cool that you can make let's do a podcast about snow. If you
Right.
do that anywhere else with other context, snow gets very boring very fast. But we could probably do a whole nother movie or a whole nother podcast, I should say, just on another round of snow movies. Like there are
Yeah.
that many movies about XYZ, and I just love that, and I'm happy that we get to do that.
Well, and what's really fun is much like the well, I don't know, the miniseries, the show, whatever it was I was talking about, but because I don't remember the name, so now it just forces me to go look that up and then jot it down, and then I will somehow even subconsciously find a way to put that into something in the future, so we can actually talk about something that I've seen. Like there's yeah, well, like when I'm talking, I don't have anything in front of me in terms of a way to look anything up. So if I don't know
Yeah.
the name, like that Janine lady, like I had such a crush on her, but I can't remember her last name because she did after that TV show, she did a couple of films, and then I don't know I don't know, maybe she had a family or just wasn't interested in doing that. But like she kind of like went away, and I was always sad because she was like super hot, and I'm like, oh, this would have been great. But one of the few no, I'm not going to say that because then I'll get hate mail, so I can't say that. But no, I was going to say she she has short hair, and I don't think everybody can pull that off. Well, I don't think all
Mm,
women can pull that off, and some women would argue
no.
about it. But I think that's sort of true. It's also maybe true with long hair. I don't know. But anyway, she had short hair and she looked amazing. So
There you go. There you
yeah.
go. Yeah, and unfortunately, not all movies can be. You can't put all movies in a category because otherwise I would have found a way to bring up Sinners, but there's no snow in Sinners,
Oh, but
so
you just did. So still the sinners. Oh, by the way,
like I
speaking of
said,
women with short hair, because we had talked a couple pods ago about the movie uh, uh with oh with Guy Fawkes, the
oh, uh, V is for Vendetta,
V for Vendetta, and in that when Natalie Portman shaves her
short
head
hair.
and she
Yeah,
still looks really, really good.
yeah.
How about this? And I will read the screenplay, people, if you're listening, Mr. Producers. What about a biopic about Sinead O'Connor starring Natalie Portman?
Ooh,
Hmm?
I could see it.
I could see me writing an award-winning screenplay and her winning Best Actress for portraying Sinead. I'm telling you, Hollywood, you got my number. Just letting people know.
Hit us up. We do have an email associated with the pod, so you can write us an email. Yeah. Before we close out, we typically do something that you either just watched or you're looking forward to. Have you watched? I know we've been away, so we haven't really been like watching things. But have you watched anything recently, or are you excited to watch something coming up?
Yeah, I guess two things. I basically binge watched most of the new Tulsa King, and then I started to
Yes.
watch the new Landman show,
Oh,
season two, which is fantastic. I think there's
amazing.
only two episodes out
Two
or
episodes.
something, yeah. So those are what I was watching, and I'm still really looking forward to watching um the bio or the movie that just came out with Russell Crowe.
Oh, Nuremberg, the trials of
Yeah, Nuremberg. Yeah.
Nuremberg.
So
Yeah.
that is on my radar. I live pretty remote for those that don't know, and so the closest theater is about over a half hour away, and they show like three films, and two of them are going to be kid films for the kids.
So if you own movie theaters, put one where my uncle can watch them.
Yeah. So otherwise, I got to wait till it's on digital, because that's how they do it now. They'll release it in theater, and then some platform will take Netflix, whomever will say we'll allow it in the theaters for like a couple of weeks, then we put it on our platform. So I'm
Yep.
looking forward to that movie. What about you?
Yeah, I typically so this is how good Taylor Sheridan is. I typically and I know you are like this as well. I will wait for a show to come all the way out before I watch it at all.
Yep.
But with Landman and a lot of times with Tulsa King, I will watch the episodes weekly. I will watch and I will wait the agonizing 7 days to watch the next episode
Yeah.
because it's just so good. And Landman is, I think the third one just came out while we were traveling Sunday, so I have that to watch still.
I
But
tend
they're
to agree with you about that because um I don't remember what I was listening to, but they're having a discussion about how there was a collective, like a community bonding experience when you had to watch something weekly, because then you had
yeah,
something to talk to over the water cooler, as it were. And it seems that a lot of people now are in their own bubble of what they're watching, and you can say, "Oh, I just watched this," and I'll go, "I don't know, I don't have Netflix. I watched this," and you're like, "Oh, I don't have cable." And it so it was like when when The Sopranos was coming out, that was like a talking point throughout the week. And then Sunday they released the new episode, and that was on
the
for like,
last the last real show that had that was Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones was on,
yeah,
people would every Sunday they'd either be in a bar and they'd watch it, or they'd be at their house, and then Monday everyone at work was like, "Oh, did you see Game of Thrones?" Like,
right, right.
like, and that's like the last big show. And even comedy is to a lesser note, but like comedies were like that too for a while. Like there was for a while, How I Met Your Mother was really big, and that was like really talked about. When you come into work the next day, oh, did you see How I Met Your Mother? Like, oh, what about that? Like, how did
Right.
he end up with her? And so but there haven't been lately because of streaming services. Yeah, you're right. There hasn't been lately like one show that everyone's been watching and talking about at the same time.
Yeah, and I think there's something healthy about having a national, like, community, like, shared experience that we all like can bond together with. It's like, okay, maybe we don't agree about sports, or we don't agree politically or whatever, but we can agree to talk about our feelings about having watched whatever show it happens to be. And I know for the network shows, you do have that a little bit because they don't like dump all their shows at once generally, but less and less people watch network shows. So, but then, like I said, all, I don't know. I think there's certain ones that I like that they drop them weekly. I just happen to be doing stuff and I couldn't catch Tulsa King, and
Yeah.
but with Landman, I'm fine waiting for each episode. And um so I don't so Paramount's, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they are always releasing their shows, but I hope more networks they get that, like, that we want that experience of, like. And also with Landman, it's written so well, like Yellowstone, that if you were to binge watch it, you can't absorb how good a show is, I don't think, as well.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, um, he has a contract, I think, through 2028, and then he didn't like how they were doing things at the network and signed a deal with Universal. So in 2028, I believe Taylor Sheridan will start creating original projects for Peacock because Universal owns Peacock.
In a
Um,
way, I hope not. I mean, it is what it is, but it's like I kind of hope not, because I feel like the networks, they're not edgy and they won't let you be honest with the writing and the making of the show.
I agree. However,
Yeah.
I feel like how he makes films, he wouldn't sign a deal if he didn't think that that was going to be like if he thought that that was going to be the case because he's such a honest filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I also think with what we were talking about just now, it might help to build that sense of community because if he does shows with Peacock, they'll probably debut on NBC, maybe,
Yeah.
which means that maybe a wider audience will watch it. So I
You
don't
know,
know.
he also might
Um,
be doing this for leverage for the other thing. I mean, that could
who
be.
knows? Who knows? But that was just a rumor, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that's a great place to end another awesome
Yeah.
episode. As always, make sure to hit the likes, the subscribes, throw some comments out there, write us an email if you're feeling frisky. Anything I'm missing? All right.
I'm good.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.